Hello and welcome to Hexed Encountered. My name is Joe. Today I'm going to be continuing my playthrough of the base game of Spruance Leader. This is the North Atlantic Skirmishes campaign from 1988. So we played turn 1 in the first video. I also showed campaign setup and mission setup. So I do recommend checking that out if you have not seen it, because obviously it would give you enough background on what is going on here, because I would like to just kind of get right into turn 2 and hopefully finish this encounter and maybe progress on in my campaign here. So first thing we are going to do is we've already advanced our turn counter. We are now on battle turn 4 and we count down from 5. So we have 4 turns left at the most. In turn 1, we did manage to sink one of the 4 Soviet submarines that we are taking on in this campaign. We are left with 3 Victor-class subs. There are 2 Victor 1s, the K-147, which is this guy right here, and the K-454, which is this guy up here. And then a Victor 3, the K-324, is our sub 1. Now, as you can see, we have a detect level of 2. I need to flip that over because it becomes a 1. Your detection level, whoops, wrong way, not flip it, replace it. Your detection level degrades each turn unless you improve upon it. So they also get degraded as well to detection level 1. Like so. And the first thing you do is your Sonobuoy detection check, which we don't have any of those, so I did not purchase any for my SH-2F Sea Sprite helicopter there, sprayer. So you have the ability to purchase those as part of your ordinance purchase, but I did not do so. And so we skip that, obviously. We move on to engagement turn sequence step 2. Which is perform task force actions, fast task force actions. Okay, so these are our fast units. These are our slow units, and then if we had any in our supported protected area, which are not basically, it's not so much that they can't be combatant ships, but they're not combatants in this mission if they were in one of these 4 spots right here, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So our screening force gets to go first. We also have a commander who has a fast action. Our commander, again, is Kinsley here. He has, as you can see here at the bottom, he has one fast right there, as long as his stress is 0 to 5. Right now he is stress-free, but he will be picking up some stress after the mission is complete. Those are our fast ships. So our cruiser and our frigate. We have a second frigate back here, the DeWert, FFG-45. That is in our slow force. So I can, in theory, take 3 actions, plus I have my helicopter out here, which also goes with the fast group. So I think I'll start with my helicopter, and we're going to have him attempt to detect sub 2 here. So the way this works is, here's our Sea Sprite. He's got 1 stress. Come on. There we go. He's got 1 stress. You get a stress when you take off. So he gets 1 stress when taking off, and his detection, we use the middle column here. On a ship card, there'd be 3 columns. This is surface, submarine, and then a 3rd column would be where the aircraft would go. So he's got the MAD detection, has to be in the same box because his range is 0, and he detects on a 7 or above. But this number gets adjusted. So the way you adjust it is you have to look for modifiers. So I do have here improved sonar detection. All sub detection attempts have a +2, which means he moves that to a 5 actually, which is pretty helpful. So we got that going for us. So that would be a 5. Then you also adjust it for the sub itself. This is sub 2. As I mentioned at the beginning, this is the K147. As you can see at the bottom, the NM, that's the noise modifier. That means he gets a -1. So that brings us back to a 6. So that is what we will be trying to roll, is a 6. So we have our D10 here. We roll, and we get a 9. So a 9 on our Sea Sprite. It only has one level of detection, so we get a detect 1 here for our sub. So the helicopter has detected him, and the helicopter gets four actions per turn. So he can now drop a torpedo on this guy and see if we can blow him out of the water here. So he's equipped with 2, well, I purchased 2. He's equipped with Mark 46 torpedoes, so this guy right here. As you can see, it has a 7 on it for its attack rating. The range is 2, but we're in the same hex or same box, so that's not a factor. So again, this also gets adjusted for attack. So my Sea Sprite here actually has a +1 here at the bottom for sub attacks. So that would be a +1 modifier. Our K147, however, has a 1 for torpedo defense. Sorry about my focus. It's going crazy here, but the 1 for torpedo defense. So that basically they negate each other. But we do get the +1 for the detection level as well. So we need a 6. We need a 6 to hit. So we'll roll our die. And we got a 4, so we did not hit. So that's 2 actions. I'm going to fire my other torpedo at this guy. We're going to do the same thing. We still need a 6. And we got a 7. So now we look at the damage here, and you need 2 hits actually to sink this guy. So we only got 1 hit. So we need to place a damage on here. So we have a damage chit, an enemy damage chit right here. So I'm going to put that right next to him here. Because now his attack, he gets, actually let me go back to this again. As you can see on here, if it can stay in focus, he gets all his, basically his missile defense, which doesn't apply because it's a submarine. But torpedo defense is a -1, his noise is a -1, and his attack is a -2. So basically, because he's been hit, he's probably rattling around, making more noise, and his capabilities have been reduced. So that was our 3rd action for Sprayer. Now, since Sprayer since it's actually out of torpedoes now, I'm going to actually move him. Well, maybe I won't move him. I'm going to leave him here, I guess, and we will see. We'll just leave him there to maintain the detection level, and I guess I'll just forego my final action for the helicopter. In turn 1, I did fire an ASROC, which is a rocket-based version of the Mark 46 torpedo. So from my cruiser here, so I have 1 of those left there. I have 3 though on the Underwood, so I'm going to fire from the Underwood because, well, actually I can't now that I think about it. So I am going to use my ASROC because they're at range 3 and the torpedoes only has a range of 2. So I'm going to fire my other ASROC from the Leyte Gulf. The red circle 2 is the minimum range, and the black circle 3 is the max range. So he's right in that sweet spot of 2 to 3. And again, we need a 7, but we get adjustments here. So we get the +1 for the detection. His torpedo defense is now 0. And the Leyte Gulf has a +1 for sub attacks as well. So that's a +2. So that's going to be a +2 on our attack. So we need a 5. So I'm going to roll, and I rolled a 1. Okay, well, so much for that idea. So now I'm actually going to use my task force commander ability here. So as you can kind of see here, he has the move task force action. So I'm going to use that action. He gets 1 fast action per turn. So I'm going to use that to move our task force forward. So what that does is it decreases the range for everybody. So everything moves up 1 here because we got closer. So everything moves up 1. And by doing that, the Underwood is now in range to fire a torpedo at this submarine. So we will take another crack at our sub here, our SSN K147. So we will roll. Here's our Mark 46. We have our Mark 46 torpedo here. So we're going to fire that guy. The Underwood for an attack on a submarine is actually a -1 because he is a green here. Here's his card. Okay, so you can see there at the bottom, sub -1. So he actually gets a -1 on his attack because he's a green. So not great, but we do get a +1 for detection. So that basically cancels each other out. And then the submarine had a 1 TD, but that gets dropped to a 0. So essentially, we don't get any adjustments, and we just need a 7. And we got a 4. So not rolling real well here. That's going to end the fast task force action for me. So now we go to the move enemy units. So up here in this corner is the movement chart. So let me move my dice in here so you can see this, hopefully. And we rolled a 6. So we start with sub 1, which is off screen right now, but so he rolled a 6. He gets range -1. So he will move up 1, and once I do all this movement, I'll reset the camera so you can actually see where everybody is now. So now we'll do sub 2. He rolled a 2, which is patrol or snorkel for an SSK, which is a diesel sub, which is not our Victor here. Victor is a nuclear submarine. So he's going to stay put. Now we'll do sub 4 since sub 3 has been sunk. And sub 4 also rolled a 6, which we know is range -1. So the submarines are now all in range 2. So they're all in range now of my ships. So once I get to my slow turn where the DeWert can take a shot, we'll have a shot at one of these enemy subs. Okay, so now you can see where everything ended up here. We have sub 1 and 4 are in this box here. Sub 4 is still detection level 1 by my units for the balance of this turn. And then, of course, we have enemy sub 2 here, which is damaged and is also at detection level 1. They also have a detection level 1 on ship 3, which is the DeWert. So now that we're in their action phase, they get to act on that attack. So I'm going to do that first just so we can do an attack. So sub 2, even though it's damaged, is now going to fire at the DeWert because it has detection level 1 on it. So now we look at sub 2 here. We look at sub 2, right? So you can see its attack. We roll a d10 for 1. 1 to 7 is 2 torpedoes. 8+ would be 3 torpedoes. But it does get a -2 on its attack. Oh shoot, I forgot to adjust for movement. I keep doing that. I keep forgetting about the sub-based attack rolls. So I think I rolled, if I remember correctly, I rolled a 6 for sub 1, which would get a movement of 2, which goes flank or range -1. So that actually doesn't change anything. It would just give them the opportunity to flank. So I'm just going to leave it where it is because this way they get in, instead of moving here, they actually move up to where they're a little bit closer, and they get a range modification of +1. Plus and I forgot to use that on my my attack here. But anyway, so we rolled a 6, a 2, and a 6. So if we added 2 to the 2, we get patrol, which means that sub 2 would stay, which it did. And then on sub 4, we would get a +3, which would make it a 9, which again would be flank or range -1. So essentially nothing really changes. But let's get back to our attack now. So we get a -2 on the attack. So their attack by torpedo from range 1 to 2, they need a 5 for 1 hit or a 9 for 2 hits. Or 2 damage rather, 2 damage chits, because when they hit a ship, you pull a chit for damage. Okay, so our modifiers on this attack are range, which is this here, and that's a +1. Then the sub attack is also a +1. So that's a +2. That's the azimuth adjustment. Then your task force TD, my ship's TD, or torpedo defense rating, and the DeWert's defense rating for torpedo attacks is actually a 0. So there's no adjustment for that. And then the detection level is another plus. So that's a +3, and then a -2 for the being damaged gives us a +1. So basically they need a 4 for 1 hit and a 8 for 2 hits. So the first thing we're going to do is roll to see how many torpedoes it fires. So from 1 to 7, it'll be 2, and if it's 8 or higher, it's 3. And it's a 10, so that's 3 torpedoes it's now going to fire at the DeWert. So it needs a 4 for 1 damage or an 8 for 2 damage. So that's a 2, that's none, that's a miss. So that's torpedo 1. Torpedo 2 is a 1, so that's another miss. Torpedo 3 is a 7. So that is one damage. So I draw from my cup here. Draw one out. And torpedo side, there's a missile side and a torpedo side. The torpedo side says fire, no actions, which is great because now I can't shoot at them, and repairable. So I'm going to put that on my DeWert card, so we know that it has been damaged and has no actions. It just says fire, no actions. So that will wrap up the turn essentially, because my slow task force ship has a fire and no actions, but it is repairable. So we're going to reduce our turn to 3. We're going to change this detect 1 back to 0. Okay, so we go on to turn number 3. So again, no sono boys. So we go to fast task force actions. So our fast task force action here for the Leyte Gulf has no torpedoes left. And the Underwood has 2 torpedoes. And the helicopter also has no torpedoes left. So by not hitting with my torpedoes on the last round, I really have left myself in a pickle here. So I'll start with my submarine, and we'll see, my helicopter rather, and we'll see if we can increase our detection level on the sub. So his noise modifier is a -1 now, and that one had a 1 to begin with, so that's a 0. So we get no adjustment for that. Our range modifier, well, no, we don't get a range modifier, but we do get a +2 from our sonar detection. We also get, well, that's all I get, I guess. Oh, and a +1 from our helicopter itself. So we get a +3. So we need a 7 to detect. So that'll get modded down to basically a 4. So we rolled a 7. So that's 1 detection level. I'm gonna try to increase it. So I'm going to try to detect again. And I got a 1. So that's 2 actions. Third action is a success. So now we're at 2. Fourth action, another 9. So we got him up to detection level 3, which is what I was hoping to do. Because we need to make our torpedoes count because we're very limited on what we have. So now we're at 3. So that's going to make it easy to hit this guy, hopefully. So I'm going to use the Underwood to attack with one of its 2 remaining torpedoes. And what that will entail is we do our checks here for attacks. So we get range is a +1. The azimuth only applies when it's a submarine attacking. The TD is a 0 because it was a 1 and it gets a -1. And then the detection level is a 3. So we're getting a total of +4. And to hit with a Mark 46, you need a 7 typically, so we need a 3. And we rolled a 4, so that's a second hit, and that will kill sub 2. Now that one is actually starred. So if we look here on its card, there's a star here. So that means it gets a victory, an experience point for our ship that sunk it, which is the Underwood. So I'm going to mark an XP for the Underwood on its log. So it's down to 1 torpedo now. Move this. And we can remove this because it's no longer detecting anything. Okay, so our helicopter is here. He used all his action, so he's done. We used the Underwood. So now my question here, and this is interesting, is that can the commander use a ship action to try to get the DeWert repaired, because he has his own action? I'm gonna say yes, because the rule book doesn't say no. Okay, so for repairs you have to roll the repair number, and the repair number for the DeWert is a 9. So I have to roll a 9 or a 10 for this to work, which means it's probably not going to work. And I rolled a 10. Awesome. All right. So having rolled a 10, that ends my... Oh, wait, I have the Leyte Gulf, but the Leyte Gulf can't really do anything because we don't have any ASROCs left. So, yeah, I did not buy enough ordnance, apparently. I do have 4 torpedoes left, but they're all on the frigates. 1 on the Underwood and 3 on the DeWert. Yeah, so now we move to the enemy movement. Okay, so we have sub 1 and sub 4 left. So sub 1 has a movement modifier of +2. We roll the die. We get a 3. So that becomes a 5, which is range -1. So they're going to move up here, and they're real close now. And then sub 4 has a movement modifier of +3. And he rolled, it looks like a 3. I thought that was a 7, actually, which is flank or range -1. If I move him here, he's going to be in the same hex with our helicopter, so I'm going to assume he'll just move up. So he moves up, and now we get our action phase. So they're going to, sub 1 will attempt to detect. So let's pull a ship from our top here. Let's see which one he's trying to get. So that's ship 2, which is the Underwood. So he's trying to detect the Underwood. His detect is a 5 for 1 level and an 8 for 2. The Underwood gets 1 for the noise modifier, so he needs a 6 or a 9. A 6 for 1, 9 for 2. Rolled an 8, so he does get detection on him, but only level 1. Okay. Okay, so sub 4 will also attempt to detect. So its range is 4 to 9. So let's pull a shit out. Now there is a command and control when you have surface ships, because they can actually talk to each other. And look, he gets a 2 as well. So we'll put that one up here. So we're going to roll. So his detection is a 4 to 9. A 4 and 9, I should say. 4 for 1, 9 for 2. Again, we subtract 1 for the Underwood's noise management. So that would be 5 and 10. And we rolled an 8, so that one was also detected at level 1. So both subs now have detected the underwood and will be able to attack next turn, assuming that I can't kill them. And I need to hit with all 4 of my torpedoes because both these submarines have hulls of 2. So this is going to probably result in me not being able to win this fight because I did not buy enough torpedoes, basically. So, okay, we're moving on to the slow phase, which is the DeWert, which is repaired, thankfully. So the DeWert will fire at sub 4. We're going to take a crack, I guess, because we need to. So it gets no modifier for sub. We get a +2 for range. And the noise management for sub 4 is 1. So we get a +1 is basically the final adjustment on that. So +1, and the torpedo needs a 7, so we need a 6 to hit. And we got a 9. So we did hit. So that's going to end that turn. So we go to decrease detection level. So this is now gone. And these get reduced. And then we decrease the battle turn. So that goes down to 2. So we have 2 turns left. Now we're back in our fast phase. So first thing I'm going to do with the Leyte Gulf is I'm going to detect. We'll go for sub 1 to try to detect it. So they're both here in this box. It's a little crowded. So sub 1 actually has a noise management of 3, which is a -3. We get a +2 back for our range. The ship, the Leyte Gulf, has a +1, so that basically makes it a 0 for detection. And we are going to, let's see. So we got a -3, and yeah, so it's basically a 0. I'm actually going to ping it active. I'm going to ping it active because then I can get a 359 detection level. I can actually get 3 detection if I can roll a 9. So if I roll a 3, it's 1. If I roll a 5, it's 2. If I roll a 9, it's 3. Time for drastic measures here. Rolled a 10. 10. Hopefully you could see that. So that's 3. So this sub 1 is now detected at level 3. And so at 3, it actually has to use it says on the counter here, active detection required. So I think when they attempt well, they actually have contact. So they're not going to do that this turn, but they could. So now the Underwood will fire its last torpedo at sub 1. So we get range, which is +2. We get the azimuth, not applicable. The ship's TD is a 2. So that negates the range modifier. So that's back to 0. But we get a +3 from the detection level. So +3. So we need a 4 to hit. And we rolled a 5. Whew. Okay, so that's a hit. So now both subs have damage. And now we go to their attack. Now I just need to remember they're in this row here because obviously we got a lot of counter action going on down there. So sub 1, we roll for movement. Rolled a 1, and he gets a +2, so that's a 3, which is patrol. So they don't move. Sub 4 gets a 2 with a +3 movement, and that makes it a 5, which is range -1, but they're already at the lowest range, so I guess they don't move. Okay, so now we'll go for attacks. So both have detected ship 2, which is the Underwood. So they will attack. So both will get a -2, which negates their +2 on the range modifier. And neither of them are flanked out, so they don't get any plus for the azimuth. So we're at a 0 still. And then our torpedo defense on the Underwood is a 0. So basically no modifiers. They're firing. We have to figure out how many torpedoes they're firing. So we'll fire with sub 1, which is a 1 to 5 for 2, and a 6 plus is 3. So they rolled a 4, so they have 2 torpedoes they're firing at the Underwood. And to hit, they need a 6 or an 8 for 2 hits. So a 5 is a miss, and a 3 is a miss. Wow, that was close. So the Underwood dodges a bullet there, but now we have to do sub 4. So sub 4 is 1 to 4 is 1 torp, and 5 or higher is 2 torps. They rolled a 7, so they get 2 torpedoes. Same thing, they get basically a 0. It's a flat adjustment here, no modifier. Rolled a 1, that's a miss. They need a 7 to hit. And they did get a 7 on the second one. So we'll pull our damage out. And we get a stress plus 3. So the Underwood gets a plus 3. I'm going to throw this back and pull a 3 for stress right here. And we're going to stick that on the Underwood. So they now have stress 3, which puts them on the verge of being shaken. Stress 4 is shaken for them. So that's the end of the enemy move. We go to the slow move, which is the DeWert. The DeWert will fire at sub number 1 here to see if we can kill it. So we need, let's see. So the range gets a plus 2. The noise modifier becomes a minus 2 because they lose 1 for being damaged. So that's going to be a 0 adjustment for that. But we do get a plus 3 for the detection level. So we need a 4 to hit. And we rolled a 1. Well, that means I cannot win this because I'm not going to be able to sink both submarines. So that is going to end turn number, or the next to last turn. So now we go to the last turn. All the detection levels go down by 1. So this is no longer detected. And this is no longer detected. Because we can at least try to kill one more of these just for the XP. There's no sonobuoys, so we move to fast task force action. So we'll use the Leyte Gulf again to try to detect sub 4. So again, it gets a minus 1 on its noise management, so that's a 0. We get a plus 2 for range and a plus 2 for that, so that's a 4. And we will do active again, I guess. Why not? So we need basically a 5 for level 3. We got a 6. So they're going to be detection level 3. Sometimes the dice rolls kill you. Sometimes you screw yourself over by not buying enough torpedoes. That's the case here. If I had just 1 or 2 more torpedoes, I would win this. But now I'm not going to because I only have 1 torpedo left. That torpedo actually belongs to the DeWert. So the Underwood will also do a detection. We'll try to increase sub 1 to a 3. And we rolled a 3, so that's not going to do it. Because the Underwood gets a minus 1. And we got a plus 2 for range. And actually that is a detection level 1. So that should increase this back to 3. I might be wrong about that. It's entirely possible or even likely that I screwed that up. But we'll go with it because, like I said, I'm going to lose anyway. So now it's their movement. So we'll do a 1. And sub 1 gets a plus 2. So that's a 3, which is patrol. So no movement. And then sub 4 gets a 5 with a plus 3 is an 8. Flank or range minus 1. So they'll flank out. So that's 4. They go over here now, where they'll get a plus 1 on their attack. Sub 1 needs to detect somebody because they don't have any yet. So they have to use active detection according to that. So they will be, they need a 4 for 1 or 7 for 2. So we got it, but we get modifiers. They get a plus 2 for range. So they'll need a 2 for 1 or a 5 for 2. They rolled a 10, so they're going to get... Oop, I didn't draw my ship. So the ship they're going after is 2 again. So the Underwood, once again, is going to be detected at level 2 this time. And now, actually that was 1, so that's over here. And now 4 will attempt to detect as well. Oh, let me flip that to the detected side. Forgot to do that last time. And they get an 8. And so Task Force Ship 1, the Leyte Gulf, is going to be... Actually, I don't even really need to do this because they can't attack in the same turn in which they detect, and this is the last turn, so they can't attack, but we'll play it out anyway. So they rolled an 8. So they also get a range modifier of +2. So, and they... Yeah, so basically they're going to be detection level 2 as well. So now we go to my slow phase, which is the Dewart. So this is our last action here. So we're going to roll for our last torpedo attack. We'll go after sub 4 because he gets a noise management is going to be 0. His range is a +2. And so +2 with the 0. And then a +3 for detection means we're at a +5. So we need a 2. And we rolled a 1. That's the way this mission has gone for me. So that is going to basically end it. That's the end of the encounter now. So encounter is complete. We pull an event card. Bonus SO points. Earn 2 SO points for each enemy ship destroyed during the encounter. So we would gain 4 from that because we killed 2 of their 4 ships. 2 of their 4 subs, rather. Next would be to evaluate. So, well, it says right there, destroy all submarines. We did not do that, so we failed. If the target is a naval target without the keyword improvement and the target is not destroyed, then discard the target and it cannot be attacked again. But it does actually have improvement on it. If the target has the improvement keyword, keep the target card and continue to apply the improvement penalty until it is destroyed. So we have to keep the target card. So I'll keep the target card. And I'll reshuffle my target deck. So that was not good. The lesson learned there is I should have bought more I screwed up the ordnance because I bought a bunch of missiles, and once I knew what my target was, I should have just bought a bunch of torpedoes, and then I would have been able to win this. So that is the lesson to take from this, and part of the reason I'm doing this is so that not only can I learn, but hopefully you guys can learn from watching my mistakes. Obviously, I screwed this up. So yes, and we get stress from the encounter as well. So I will apply all that, update my log, and then we will. I'll do another video where we can move on to the next fight. What I'll probably do is set everything up and then just kind of go through what the setup is before I start the video, so you don't have to watch me go through all the setup steps. If you want to see the setup steps, watch video number 1 in this series, because that one will show you how you go through and do your purchasing and looking at your SO points and pulling your target and all that stuff. So that will do it for this video. Unfortunately, that was not a win for me. But again, that's my fault for basically screwing up on my ordnance purchases, because I bought a bunch of missiles for a mission where we had no surface targets. So those were wasted SO points because you discard any unused ordnance and you have to start over again. Each mission you purchase your ordnance anew. So from that respect, that was a big mistake on my part, and I should have known better. So hopefully you got something out of watching me screw this up. I hope. Anyway, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Please consider liking, sharing, and or subscribing if you would. I would love that. That would be awesome. But in the meantime, My name is Joe. This has been Hexed Encountered, and until we meet again, happy gaming.